You know, every time we make a video about the LA Kings, it's always about a very good thing. We talk about the prospects, the young guys, the development, and how it's all looking great. And I love talking about the Kings and their future and their young players because it always makes me feel good. You have some really good, talented guys. And I see the fans, you all say the same thing in the comments. It's nice to get that conversation going. But this video is going to be one where we talk about a negative LA Kings story. We don't normally do this, but it does bring itself up when you talk about the goaltending situation with said team. Today we had ourselves the news that Cal Petersen, the supposed goalie of the future and a guy that the LA Kings back in the summer of 2021 wanted to invest in long-term, ended up getting assigned to the AHL after being placed on waivers and clearing earlier today. Now, for Cal Petersen, he's a guy that if you asked me about like a year or two ago, I would have been like, yeah, no, this guy is supposed to be the future. They're sort of grooming him to be that guy in Los Angeles. Jonathan Quick is a little bit older. You have other players in the system like Phoenix Copley, for example, but Cal Petersen was supposed to be the guy, and I mean, he signed a contract extension last year that kicked in the 2022-2023 season. He's going to be making $5 million a year with a modified no-trade clause. The guy's 28 years old right now, but as we had said, he had just gotten sent down to the AHL. What happened with this guy and how have things gone? Let's go over that and more in this video right here. So, Cal Petersen was initially taken by the Buffalo Sabres back in 2013, fifth-round guy out of the USHL with the Waterloo Blackhawks. After spending a whole bunch of time with the American Development System, so the USHL and then the NCAA, he eventually signed as a free agent with the LA Kings in 2017. He did not exercise his right to sign as a member of the Buffalo Sabres, instead opting to go the free agent route and not go to Buffalo. This was seen as a pretty bad move for a lot of Buffalo Sabres fans that kind of wanted this guy to be somewhat of a sustainable project in their system, but alas, it happened back in 2017. It's been 5 years. I know a lot of Sabres fans still kind of feel salty about that, but either way, Petersen signed with the not the Ontario Reign, with the LA Kings. He got sent over to the Ontario Reign, and he looked pretty good right away. A .910 save percentage, 41 games played, he had a winning record, and he actually was pretty solid in net for the Kings farm team. Give it a year, and all of a sudden the guy's in the NHL, posting up a .924 in 11 games played. Cal Petersen was supposed to be the guy, and eventually in 2020-2021, he posted up a .911 save percentage in 35 games played. And this was seen as a pretty decent year. I mean, the guy had a losing record. He was playing on a bad team. He had a .289 goals against, but that .911 save percentage, that's pretty good, honestly. Especially for a guy that was sort of entering his prime, who was kind of entering that territory of being ready to take over the Kings. He also played for Team USA at the World Championships, getting a .953 save percentage in 7 games over there, which is why back in 2021 summer, he had signed that extension, which would kick in this year. It was a year prior to the extension actually being activated that the LA Kings signed him to it. And a lot of people, myself included, kind of said, okay, I see why you're doing it. I see why you're signing him to this longer-ish term extension that'll take him until he's, 31 years old? But at the same time, it is a year out, so you have to be super confident that Cal Petersen is only going to go up from here and not take any steps back in the slightest. And that's exactly what he did the next year. After posting up that .911 save percentage, he had an .895 save percentage in 37 games played, a similar .289 goals against average, and he had a winning record this time. Coupled that with 3 shutouts and an actual appearance in the NHL playoffs, and you have yourselves a guy that got just so much worse statistically, but who also improved in other areas. It was a very weird anomaly for Petersen and his overall profile. And then you take a look at this season, the first year of his $5 million AAV extension with the modified trade protection, And in 10 games played, Cal Petersen has a 3.75 goals against, an 8.68 save percentage. He's got a negative record. And the final straw was the game against the Seattle Kraken, where the guy came into relief for Jonathan Quick. He had 16 shots against, he let in 4, he had a 750 save percentage, and he lets in the game-winning goal in overtime too. You could see him kind of collapse to the ice, looking so demoralized after that performance. And in fact, if you go over to Cal Petersen and his game log for the 2022-2023 year, the guy has played, as we had said, 10 games, and out of those 10 games, he's only had 3 games where he had over a 900 save percentage. It was October 18th against Nashville, he had a 906 over there. The Toronto Maple Leafs game on the 29th of October, he had a 929 save percentage, and then the November 16th game against the Oilers, he had a 957 save percentage over there, only letting in 1 goal. Every other game has seen him put up less than a 900 save percentage, with some of these games just being absolute daggers. As we had said, that Kraken game, he only played half the game pretty much, but he let in 4 goals. He had the game against Pittsburgh where he only played 20 minutes and he let in 3 goals on 9 shots. And when you talk about body language, you take a look at mental games, Cal Petersen is definitely not in a good spot right now when it comes to how the game seems to affect him as it goes on. This is not the only observation that I've made, but it appears that in the eyes of many LA Kings fans, that Cal Petersen just doesn't really have that mental stability to be able to carry himself out of a slump like this. He has a bad game, he follows that up with another bad game, he lets in bad goals consistently, and what you thought was a really solid goaltender to be when he posted up that 911 save percentage in 2021 is all of a sudden in such a fragile place that you gotta wonder, where in the world are the Kings going to go from here? Phoenix Copley is now going to be the guy that's probably going to be our backup for an extended amount of time, as Cal Petersen, passing through waivers, making $5 million a season, is going to be an AHL guy once again. It's going to be good for him to get his chops under and start hopefully stringing together wins against weaker competition, just so he can get that mojo back up. Not because he's a terrible goaltender, but because he's playing like a terrible goaltender who just needs to get out of that slump. We had talked about this in the Canucks video about Spencer Martin and Thatcher Demko, but sometimes you just need your goalie to make the saves that the goalie probably shouldn't make. You need your goalie to keep you in games, and unfortunately for Petersen, he has not done that in all but 3 games this year. So, talk to the comments your thoughts if you're an LA Kings fan about Cal Petersen, the way he has developed so far, and what are your opinions about that gosh darn contract? It was always kind of sketchy, I feel, giving the contract to the guy a year before he was going to live into it, but at the same time, he did have a pretty good year a season ago. It's just now he's got back-to-back 800 years, and now he's looking even worse than he did last season, not just in terms of save percentage and saveability, but in terms of overall swagger, the mojo, the confidence. You can just tell that Cal Petersen is not there in the same way that he was a season or 2 ago. So, talk to the comments your thoughts. Where do you see the Kings going with Petersen and his development? Quick is getting up there in age, so what do you think is the move here? What do you think is the right development path that they should go down when it comes to fixing or addressing their goaltending situation long term? Is Petersen still in that realm of being your next goalie? Talk to the comments your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 99, and bye.